What's up, everyone? Welcome to episode number 434 of the Action Movie Guys podcast. I'm your host, Nate, and my co-host is
Alex Figueroa.
And on this episode, we're taking a little 3-movie trip into the land of Mr. Chuck Norris. Charles Norris. I don't know, I never heard anybody call him that, but Charles Norris. Last time we reviewed a movie called Lone Wolf McQuade, and this time we're going with a more prominent film of his, the Cannon-produced The Delta Force. Now, again, all of these movies are first-time watches for me, but Alex, I know, well, you've done a 4K review of this. I'm assuming you've seen this many times, though.
Yeah, I've seen this a lot. And it's funny, I have this movie on DVD. It's funny. Growing up, so my dad was big on action movies. That's where I got my love for it.
Okay.
So Delta Force, I remember when he brought Delta Force to VHS. And he was like, and my dad is Spanish, so he's very Spanish, but he talks English too. He's a very good English speaker, but Spanish is very dominant.
Okay.
So he'll be like, he'll tell my mom, he'll be like, honey, come here or whatever. And then he'll be like, this movie está tremendo.
Classic saying.
Yeah.
And
I'm like, what is wrong with, as a kid, I'm just like, what is he talking about? And then when we put on the movie, it's I will say this about the movie. I'm not going to give a review or nothing. This movie is very ahead of his time in terms of plot, right? It's a lot of terrorists taking over plane. So in terms of, for someone like me as a kid, freaks you out because of the imagery and what the movie is. It's not like an over the top 90s action movie when they take over a plane. This is felt very realistic at certain times. But
it's based on a true story, but obviously very, very, very
80s.
Loose. We'll say that much.
No, yeah, very loosey. But so I will say that, but I very enjoyed it. I again, in terms of watching it as a kid, I enjoyed it. But growing up, certain aspects changed when I rewatched it, So I can't wait to talk about it.
Me neither. I can't wait to talk about it either. I've never seen this movie. I knew nothing. Except you told me it has iconic music.
Oh, that music is dope.
Chuck Norris. Alan Silvestri does the music. I have something to say about it. But I'm going to save it. Because we're going to go through. You're going to get to go first. You will be taking us through. But let me tell you about these Rotten Tomato scores. Let me tell you about these Rotten Tomato scores. All right. I don't know if you've seen these yet, but we'll start with the audience this time.
Okay.
Sometimes I like to mix it up. This has a 50% audience score. Okay. Split right down the middle.
Not bad.
Half the people like it. Yeah, for a movie like this, honestly, it's not that bad. Considering we're talking about Cannon films produced. They did not spend a ton of money on their movies, but whatever they had, they gave it their best for better or worse. However, the critic score for this movie is 15%. So,
Jesus.
Yes, and not a very liked movie. And, again, we're going to do our review. We'll give you our take. We'll see where we fall. I look up these scores after I watch it always. So, maybe I'm like, these audiences are right. Maybe I'm like, these critics are right. And I'm going to see where you're at. But what do you think? The audience, I believe, the critics, Lone Wolf McQuade had a way higher score than this. I didn't like that movie. But it was way higher. It was 50 something. Yeah. So 15, what a little low for you?
I'm very shocked, but I could totally understand the nature of the content.
Yes.
Like when we did Rambo, we didn't do Rambo. I don't believe we did Rambo 5. I think we did. Yeah, we did. And I remember when we did the critics, it was kind of like this. It was just and we felt like it was impacted by the content that surrounds the movie. And I felt like this, if it's a 15, then it has to be about the subject of the matter of the film.
I'll tell you who did like it. Roger Ebert. He gave it a 3 out of 4 or something like that. So he was a fan of this movie. If no one else liked it, Roger Ebert enjoyed The Delta Force. All right, let's give you our take on this movie. Alex, a seasoned veteran, me, a rookie, never seen this, don't know nothing. What did you think of our lead character? Again, we talked off air. His name is Scott, but in the movie, they call him McCoy the whole entire time. I had no idea his name was Scott. Call him that, but that's his name. And also, we'll talk a little bit about Lee Marvin's character, because he's not a co-lead, but he's like his captain. His name is Nick. So we got Nick and Scott. Take it away. What do you think?
It's funny because sometimes throughout the movie they call him Major. Like Major.
Yeah.
So they give him by the ranks and all that. But anyway, I kind of like Chuck Norris in this movie. And again, I hate to use it irks me to use this line, but it's typical. It's the product of its time. And I hate to use that line because I feel like people beat that shit to the ground. Mm-hmm. But this movie is so 80s. like very 80s. And this is the 80s character to the fullest. Like to the fullest. So, but I like Chuck Norris. Chuck Norris was really good. He's an army dude. He's a Delta Force character. He's alone. He's not like he has a wife and kid. He's very private, right? Certain things happen in the battlefield, and he's like, I'm not doing this anymore. And then next thing you know, it's like, McCoy is going to get here anytime. And all of a sudden the bike comes. He's like, Major, look. Oh. And then everyone gets excited and then he comes in. But in terms of the cat, very American. Actually, not him. Everybody's American here. All right. You got Billy. You got the black. I forgot the name of the black guy's character.
Oh, I'll pull it up.
Because he's in this too. Steve James. Oh, Bobby. Bobby.
They gave everybody one word name. Just one name.
Yeah.
Bobby.
One names. Yeah. You got Billy, Bobby, Nick, and
Scott.
then Scott. Oh, well, McQuaid.
Yeah.
I mean,
I already forgot his name.
I was going to say McQuack.
Launchpad McQuack.
McKay. Yeah. So at the end of the day, I kind of liked him. I gave him a 4. I don't think he's a perfect character, but I gave him a 4 because he's a typical generic army guy. It's nothing different or new compared to him in Commando, or Rambo, at the end. So I gave him a 4.
All right. I did read that after Lee Marvin's character was originally cast as Charles Bronson, and how that might have been cool if it was Charles Bronson and Chuck Norris. However, during a scheduling conflict, he had to film another movie, and so he had to drop out, and then they got Lee Marvin to replace him. So it might have been a little cooler if Charles Bronson was doing action scenes instead of old ass Lee Marvin, but he probably would have had more action scenes if it was Charles Bronson. Okay, Scott. I gave him a 1, but let me tell you why.
You gave him a 1?
A 1.
Oh my God.
You said something during your review that I agree with, but I'm not sure. And that's that he doesn't have a wife and kids. I don't even know if he has a wife. I don't know anything about him. I literally, you know what I know? He's a good soldier. That's it. That's all to me, I think Chuck Norris is fine in the role. It's not a character. It is just a guy. Look, we didn't know his name was Nick. And you've seen this movie a lot more times than me. If you have a guy that and first of all, he's barely in the movie in the first hour. He's in maybe 10 minutes. We spent all this time on an airplane. This was like a 70s disaster film for the first hour. And then all of a sudden it was an action film after. I'll save that for story. I hated him as a character. I didn't hate Chuck Norris. I think he was probably the right casting choice because he looks the part. He does a little karate at the end. He doesn't do a lot. His stunt double does a lot of heavy lifting here. Stunt double driving that motorcycle. Stunt double doing that zip line, that random zip line that just popped up out of nowhere. He's like, come down. Yeah, this guy. Okay, well, this guy's basically a video game character. You're taking him over. You're yourself. You just got to make up stuff like, bro, I got a family back at home. I got to fight for them. I got to make sure the terrorists don't win. And I'm going to kill them all. The only part I liked with him is when he shoots that guy under the bed and he was like, sleep tight or whatever he says, or sweet dreams or something like that. That was kind of funny. He has no good one-liners. He has no character. He is a blank piece of paper that runs around and kills people. So I don't think it's a character, and that's why I gave him a 1. I'm just like, what does he do? He shows up in his truck. He's like, I'm ready to go. And Lee Marvin's like, leave the keys in the van. He calls it a van. That pissed me off. It was a truck. Leave the keys in the van. Time to go to work. It's just not. He's not a character. He's just a guy. So whatever 4 for you. I love it. All right, main villain now. This is racist. So I saw the cast list in the beginning, and I'm like, damn, they got some heavy hitters. Shelley Winters, like an all-time actress. Martin Balsam, who's in 12 Angry Men, great actor. Lee Marvin. And then I see Robert Forster, and I'm like, I love that guy. I kid you not, Alex. I watched this entire movie and didn't know that he was the brown terrorist guy. He was playing like an I don't even know where he's from. They don't Iran, Iraq, one of them. I don't know. He's Middle Eastern. He's painted brown and has a little mustache. Robert Forster as, guess his name, Abdul. What did you think of Abdul the terrorist?
All right. So, you had him, and then you had the Spanish looking one, the main guy
from the Dark Knight Rises, who's in the jail. He's the guy who he's like blind, and he helps him, he's like training him.
That's him.
Yeah, that's him.
No,
I knew it right away. I was like, bro, that's Dark Knight Rises right there.
Dark Knight Rises.
That's him when he's younger. That's Dark Knight Rises.
Maybe that's where they put him after this movie.
And he gets to speak in whatever. I don't even know where they're from, but yeah, that's him.
Oh, okay. Well, I will say this: the villains were good in this movie, and taking over a plane. So it's not like they're gonna have like an evil plan. I mean, they had a plan. Yeah. I mean, they did have a plan. They took over a plane and they turned it around and it went back to, I think, Israel or something. Beirut. It was like the whole thing with in Beirut. Yeah. So I don't know. I thought they was very. I enjoyed them. I thought. I mean, one of them was over the top. Your boy with the curly hair was mad over the top. He's like, sit down.
Oh now.
Yeah, mad over the top.
The pregnant lady. Everything okay? Everything nice? You feel nice? I'm like, what the heck is going on?
Yeah, I gave it a 3. I thought they were good. They were really good. I'm not going to say they were the horrible terrorists. I mean, there's a lot of bad terrorists in movies anyway, but I thought they were formidable in this movie. They took over our entire Boeing 750. They killed an American soldier, threw that dude out of the freaking door, and then Chuck Norris came to their town and whooped that ass. But
he came to their town.
He came to their town. So I gave it a 3. I thought they were good.
All right. Well, besides the fact of Robert Forster his performance was fine. I don't care about that stuff. I was kind of joking. I mean, it's probably racist, yes, but it was a different time. When I watch these movies, I don't really think about, oh, that's a white guy playing a Middle Eastern guy, or, you watch some of those old Westerns and they got like white guys playing Mexicans. I'm okay with it because that's how it was. Whatever. His performance was actually pretty good. But again, it's so, when you're watching this movie, him and the curly hair guy take over a plane. 2 people. And a lot of them made a really good point. They're like, man, there's like 100 of us. Why don't we just tackle these guys and take them out? They never did. And I was like, all right. Then they hate Jews. So it must be said, the director of this film is from Israel. So he's a Jewish guy, and you could tell because he does not like these Middle Eastern terrorist people, and they all hate the Jews. And he made sure to put a lot of that in there. And I think that's what, to tie what you said earlier, still relevant actually in today's kind of culture. You know what I mean? Anti-Semitism and all this kind of stuff. It's crazy that the movie's like 40 years old almost, and it's the same stuff. You know what I mean? There's even lines in this where they're talking about like Palestine and blah, blah, blah. So yes, relevant, but very one-sided. So, and America, like you said, this is like, I'm down with these guys, up with America. I didn't know what their plan was though. That was my main issue. They took over the plane. They landed the plane. They got gas. They all of a sudden brought in mad people from like the trunk or whatever, like mad dudes with hoods. Yeah. They get on. Then they fly around somewhere else. Then they go somewhere else. And then he's gone for a long time. Like he goes off screen, and then Chuck Norris finds him at the end, and they fight. And then he jacks him up and blows him up with we'll get to that in the action scenes. We got to talk about that. Blows him up. So all that, I gave it a 2. To me, they were just terrorist guys. And if I knew a little bit better kind of what their plan was, I might have liked it better. Also, I think it dragged. If the pacing was like more quicker, I might have liked it a little bit better. But 3 for you, 2 for me. Okay, meat and potatoes here. Action scenes.
I'm a sucker for my 80s movies. I will say this. It's a very, rewatching it looks very cheeseball. I mean, it looks very corny. I'm not going to say, oh, this is the best 80s action movie. No, it's not. It's very, when they shoot the rockets, you could tell there was someone pressing a button. When it hits
string.
It's on a string and it goes boom. Like, it looks horrible. When he shoots the rocket from the motorcycle, it looks like it was a timed explosion. So, and it's not like they were all trained with their weapons. Most of them had Uzis and they're just shooting blanks all over the place. So again, I can't fault it for that, but I thought it was pretty, I liked it. I thought it was pretty cool. And the zip line scene is dope. He's holding it on with the Uzi and he's shooting it. Oh, and you know what? I guess it kicks up even, I think the action scenes get better once they do the Alan Silvestri's score. It's dope. Oh man, that score it gets me amped. Once you see them get into it, they had the doom buggies, they were riding into the dirt. I don't know. I thought it was pretty cool. I mean, one gets killed. My man Billy.
Oh yeah,
gets shot.
We're going home now.
Yeah,
look, you're going home somewhere.
Billy, you're gonna die, Billy. No, but look, all in all, it has sufficient amount of action. Is it the greatest action? Absolutely not. Does it have the greatest action? To me, it does in my eyes because I enjoyed it as a kid. And I always remember Chuck Norris doing the one thing. And then I love when he's fighting to do with the kick. And then he brings the motorcycle into the house. And he's fucking the dude up. I liked it. And then, of course, the famous scene when the guy is like trying to grab the machine gun. And he's all bloody. And then he just turns the machine. First of all, I will say this.
The reverse rocket launcher?
The reverse rocket launcher. I will say this before I let you go. I don't know how the hell did he work that shit with no targeting system. Because my man was shooting rockets all over the place. And it was just like, I mean, at least 007 has a targeting in his like mirror. Like something useful. His watch.
This guy just said, lined up.
Yeah. Well, the wind velocity is blowing to the Midwest. If I shoot it in this trajectory, it's going to hit. So I totally agree. I gave it a 3. I thought it has good action. For this type of movie, I thought it had good action. So I gave it a 3.
I'm glad you did that. You know what? This movie very much, you're right. It's an 80s action film. And we've covered this 434 episodes in. I'm not an 80s action lover. I think it got advanced and advanced and advanced, and it's got better and better and better. I do love 90s action. I feel like that's where it started to convert to today, where it's like just crazy. Now, in respect to this, a lot of stunts, no CGI. I do like that. They blew up a lot of explosions.
Yeah.
Here's the problem for me. One, there's literally, I clocked it, there is no action in this movie until 74 minutes into the movie. The first hour and 14 minutes, we are either on that airplane or cutting back to the other guys in an airplane, like flying after them. When I tell you I was so bored by the time the action started, I was all the way bored. I was like, thank God. And when the action starts, it's a kind of slow car chase. They're going like 35 in these streets, going 35 miles an hour, shooting Uzis everywhere. Cool if you like it. I was like, whatever. I will say it gets better towards the end. I did like kind of that big raid in that like facility or whatever. When he shoots the guy night under the mattress. That was funny. Chuck Norris doesn't do enough karate in my opinion. He only does a little bit of hand to hand. It's super cheesy. Those two guys, him and the black guy with the rocket launchers, and they shoot the rocket launcher and they're like high five each other after. I was like, oh my God, I'm going to turn this off. I didn't, but the backwards rocket, that also made me almost turn it off. I'm like, how did he aim that? How could he know it was going to go there? There's no, and it looked like it should have went up. It just went right in there, blew him up. Stupid. I gave it a 2. I don't like it, but there's a lot at the end. And there's none at the beginning. So I think if you're a fan of 80s action, I agree with you. It's sufficient. As a first time watcher, I was like, and I was bored. Part of it's on me. I was not into the movie. So I was like, I don't care. I hope they all blow up and die. So anyway, there we go. 2 for me, 3 for you. All right, storyline.
Well, I already see where this is going to go with you. You're anti-Chuck Norris this week. I think that's what it is.
I think I hate Chuck Norris. I might hate Chuck Norris.
I think you. I will say this about Chuck Norris. I mean, I know we're at the storyline, but I'll say this about Chuck Norris. I know he fought Bruce Lee. I know he's a martial artist. He is the most non-martial artist action hero I think I ever seen on screen.
Correct.
You agree with me? Like,
for a guy who can actually do martial arts, he barely uses it.
Yeah. Like Van Damme does 20,000 roundhouse kicks and you're like, wow,
Steven Seagal does this every movie, does all these hand flips
bullshit, whatever it's called, Bushido or whatever it's called.
Hapkido.
Oh, Hapkido. There you go.
You might have actually had it right, though.
Yeah, but because I've never seen no one use his fighting style or anything. But anyway, yeah, you have him doing that. You got, Michael J. White. He's an actual martial artist. Wesley Snipes is a martial artist. Bruce Lee is a martial artist.
Jason Statham.
Jackie Chan. Jason Statham.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sylvester Stallone. So you have a lot of... Chuck Norris is the anti-martial art. I think he's just like, man, I don't want to do this shit no more. I just want to shoot guns.
He's more like Arnold Schwarzenegger. He barely fights hand to hand. He just shoots big guns.
Except
imagine if Arnold Schwarzenegger was 5'3". That would be, this is him, Chuck Norris.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Yeah, it's kind of funny. Yeah, you're right. Anyway, storyline. I was bored. I'm 42 years old. So this is when I was telling you, like I started, once you see it in the older, you get to see like the dread of time pass. Like and 2 hours and 5 minutes felt lengthy. Like I was just like, Jesus Christ, is this like a 2 hour, 40-minute movie throughout the movie? I felt like the scenes in the plane was way too long, drawn out, too long to develop the situation. I had no problems with the ending fighting sequence when they raided Iraq or whatever they were, and the Delta Forces did their thing. I just felt like the first 2 chapters of this movie, whatever you want to break it into scripts, the first 2 acts, I guess you want to say, was way too long. Way too long. But in terms of the story, it did hinder a lot of points for me. In terms of the story, I gave it a 3. I thought it was good. In terms of the plot, because it does hold up till now, like present time, which I don't like to do, but I felt like with this type of movie, it does fit the narrative of the world that we're living in now, also in terms of terrorists and everything.
Yeah.
So I felt like it was very present there. I enjoy some of the aspects of it, but at the end of the day, it's a very boring movie. If you're a fan of this, yes, you're gonna like it. If you're not a fan of it, which I already know you're not a fan of, you're not gonna like this movie. You're not gonna enjoy it for what it is. But I gave it a 3. I thought it was good for nostalgic purpose, if you understand what I mean.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like, I mean, nostalgia always plays a factor. When I'm reviewing a movie, if it's something I've seen a lot and I love it, I don't care. I'm unabashed. I will give it, I'd be fair, but if I legitimately think it's great, I think it's great. So I understand. I hated this movie. I gave it a 1. I think it's so stereotypical. It is so on the nose. It's boring as hell. I'm like, what am I I thought this was an action movie. Like the beginning starts off with an explosion. Then he saves that guy. And I'm like, oh,
Billy.
Wow, okay, Delta Force, baby. Delta Force. Then we go to an airport. We're hanging out with freaking Adam Sandler's mom from the Zohan and all the Jewish people. They're at the airport. They're talking, you want to go to duty free? They go to duty free. They go shopping. The terrorists are plotting. Everything takes so long to develop. Like, they're just going. There's even a part, I kid you not. So I had this, I had it on Blu-ray. There was a part where I fast forwarded it to 1.5 speed because it still has audio if you watch it on 1.5. I didn't want to not have audio, but they talk like that. But there was no talking. It was like 5 minutes of Chuck Norris walking around that building. He's just walking around. He's not doing nothing. And then as soon as stuff popped off, I played it at regular speed again. Just so much. If this was radio, it was like, it's dead air. It's just like nothing's going on. You're just waiting and waiting. I think the script's horrible. I do think it's relevant. I agree with you there. However, horrible. I mean, there's a lot of movies like this that are way better. Yeah, I didn't like it. I almost fell asleep, but I didn't. I survived. I had to sit up. I was chilling watching it, and I had to sit up. I was like, I'm gonna fall asleep. And then stuff started exploding. You were like, plat, plat, plat. Yeah. So, throw water. Come on, Chuck. Where are you at? I gave it a 1. All right. Overall, what is your total? Your overall score? Okay. So overall, it was like I said. If it was due to memories of watching this with my parents and stuff, I would be like, it's up there. But as a reviewer, giving my opinion on the film itself, I gotta say, I don't watch this movie as much, and I don't think I will gravitate to this movie like maybe once in 5 years or 10 years down the line. Like I was like, oh yeah, because I was a force. I'll say this: 4K looks amazing. It looks crystal clear. Yeah. Like if you want to buy it on, I tell everybody, if you want this movie on 4K, get the 4K. If they have the 4K restoration on Blu-ray, don't spend the 4K and get the Blu-ray because it's going to be crystal clear. Yeah, it's a crystal clear upgrade. But out of that, and then another annoying scene that I have to say, like I'm a dad, like I have 2 girls. Yeah. But the scene with the girl and her dad was way too long. With the doll. Yeah. I gotta give my dad the doll. Yeah. Oh, my daddy. And they calling their names. And I felt like I was like, wow, they're going through the whole Boeing 757. Right. Why are they showing all of them walk all the way down the aisle?
That irked me. And I gave it a 2. I gave it a decent. This is a decent movie. I know there are going to be people that are hardcore Delta Force fans. Yes. Rightfully so. Like I said, I enjoy the movie. I still enjoy the movie, but I'm going to call it like it is. And this is a decent movie. So.
Fair. Yeah, I hated it. 1. I gave it a 1. I'll never watch this again. And you know what's funny? I thought I almost texted you when I was watching it because I know you did like the 4K and you did the review. You're like, it looks amazing. And I was gonna text you like, bro, this is a 4K of people on an airplane for an hour and 10 minutes walking around an airplane. It felt like there's a movie called Airplane. It's like a disaster movie. It felt like that. It had those tropes. Bunch of characters in a crazy situation, and then it just goes straight cheese 80s. So if you like that, I'm giving it a 1. Again, I've never seen it. I did not like it. The Alan Silvestri score. So here's what I'm going to say about it. I agree and I disagree with you. I agree with you that it's good. I think the music is good. It does not fit any of the scenes that it appears in. It's kind of like upbeat and they're like blowing stuff up. Like it should be a little more dramatic. and it's like, dun, 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 and I'm like, what, like, and it's the same piece of music. Like they just play the same piece over and over. I think standalone, it's good. Like just as a piece of music, I do think it's good. But I was like, what in the hell? This does not fit. And like all these people are dying and getting blown up, and this music is like, you're like, yeah. So
very 80s.
Very 80s, yeah. So I think it's a good score for a different movie. If it was a different movie, I'd be like, banger. Here, I'm like, misfit, a little bit of a misfit. So yeah, this movie's not for me, and that's okay. If you grew up loving it, I love that for you. If you've never seen it, you might be like Alex. If you like the 80s, you gotta like 80s cheese. If you don't, you might fall in my camp. You might not like it. But anyway, that's my 2 cents. That's your 2 cents. I agree with the 15%. That's me. I'm like, I don't like this movie. You're more in the 50 range. You have some nostalgia for it, so that helps. What's your total points?
My total points is a 15 out of a 25. Yeah, it's a fun movie to revisit, but not all the time. It's dead air. Most of the time, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I'll never watch it again. I gave it a 7 out of a 25. Hey, not my cup of tea. It's better than Assassins. I gave that a 5. So what we need to do now that I'm thinking about it, we might need to do like re-reviews of movies that we already did just to see like scores. Because we've been doing this for like 4 years. What if we watch a movie that we review? Like what if I watch Assassins and now I'm like, you know what? It's not all ones. I gave it all ones. It might be fun, to do in the future, like re-review and see but it got to be the bad ones. It can't be like one we loved. It got to be like, we trashed it, Rollerball. Maybe it's actually better, Assassins, you didn't trash it, I did, but
we should do that. That would be actually, I would actually like to do that. That is kind of an interesting thing to
yeah.
Because now that we reviewed it,
special re-review. It won't be a numbered episode. It'll just be like a special. We'll do the same scoring system and see if anything changed. Maybe your scores went down or up. Maybe mine went up or down. I don't know. I mean, Assassins couldn't go down. I gave it the least possible. But
you know what? That would be fun to do. We got to look
go
at
through
which
the list
episode.
and see what we just brutalized, and then
but
not this. I'll never watch this again. Anything but this.
Well, this is recent. You got to wait.
But in 3 years, I'm not watching it again. I'm now worried. Okay, so let me tell you what we got coming up. We got coming up Riddick, the final in the Riddick franchise from 2013, I think it is. Oh, by the way, I meant to tell you, Delta Force, originally, not only was it supposed to star Charles Bronson, it was supposed to be directed by a guy named Joseph Zito. Joseph Zito, very prevalent 70s and 80s director. You might know him from horror movies like The Prowler, Friday the 13th, The Final Chapter. And you might know him from action movies like Missing in Action and Invasion USA with Chuck Norris. So he was supposed to, and Red Scorpion with Dolph Lundgren. So he was supposed to direct this, and it ended up not happening. So the producer directed it himself, and you could tell. Directed by a producer. Anyway.
Riddick was 2013.
2013. Okay, Riddick from 2013. And then what I'm worried about is I think I might, who knows? The last movie in our Chuck Norris is Code of Silence. It might be the best one. Because, it could go down technically. It could be a 5. But I can't imagine it goes way lower. I liked Lone Wolf McQuade better than this, and I hated that movie too. So what if Code of Silence... Have you seen Code of Silence?
No.
What if it's the sleeper hit? He's wearing a leather jacket on the cover. So,
you wear leather, you know you're good.
When you wear leather, you have a Code of Silence. And that's that. So yeah, we're going to be doing Riddick and Code of Silence, and then we're starting a new franchise and theme, and we'll talk about that next time.
All right, there you go. You guys want to follow us on our social media accounts and you want to hate on Nate? Send over Nate the hate mail at Netflix Reviews over on Instagram. And of course, you can follow him and his friends for Netflix Movie Reviews. Anything Action Movie Guys, head over to youtube.com/Action Movie Guys. Subscribe, leave some comments under your favorite episodes. And of course, you can take us on the go with the Action Movie Guys podcast, available on all podcast platforms. And of course, you can follow us on TikTok and Instagram under Geeks the Letter and Flicks. Other than that, he is your host,
Nate from Netflix Reviews.
I'm his co-host, Alex Figueroa. Be awesome to each other and geek out.